Let's start by reminding ourselves where we've been and where we're going here. The very beginning of the book was trying to make a case that we all have a leadership opportunity, and in order to lead well, in order to live our lives well, in a world now that's changing very rapidly, that's very complex, that forces all to make a lot of decisions, we have to have a kind of a strategy, a way that we approach living our lives. And we're working our way through a three-part strategy. The first piece of it was understanding, laying a foundation, understanding what we care about, what we're here for, where we want to go, what we stand for, these kinds of questions. The middle, second part of our strategy was about confronting the big choices in life with a set of tools that will enable us to be good decision makers. And now the last piece of the strategy is about getting results every day. So now we're down to the nitty-gritty. Yes, I know where I want to go in life, and I feel like I make good choices in terms of who do I marry, when to retire, what do I do with my money, and so on, but I still have to get results today, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and this is not easy to do in the modern world. There's a book that was a bestseller a few years ago, a great book by the two authors, Ram Charan and Larry Bossidy, and then the name of the book was Execution, the Discipline of Getting Things Done. And the basic idea of the book was that companies often are very good at laying out strategies, plans, where they want to go, but it's very hard to get results on a day-to-day basis. It's hard in organizations and companies because they're complicated, they're political, you have to get buy-in and agreement from all kinds of different people, things change around you, and all of those same things are true of our individual lives when we're at home or whatever we're trying to pursue. Life now is filled with email, distraction, meeting, phone call, cell phone, text, and so we find that we get to the end of the workday and we never get to our number one priority. So it's hard to get results. I read an interview not long ago with Larry Kellner, the guy who's chairman and chief executive of Continental Airlines, and he describes the way he had to live his life, which I think is the way most of us live our lives. So he says, I'd kind of come in and I'd have like a yellow pad and this list of the things that I want to get done in the course of the day. And, then I'd go through my day, and his day would be a meeting here and a meeting there, and he's out of his office, or in our case, away from home for most of the day. And so at the end of the day, he'd come back and he'd kind of cross a few things off, and then he'd read his email, listen to his phone messages, and he'd write a few more things on the list. And I think a lot of us live that way. And he says, if I could read at one point, this is the conclusion he came to. I realized I was often doing what came to me as opposed to what was really important. So I started saying, okay, what are the three most important things I need to do today? I need to decide what's the most value-added thing I can do. So in other words, what he discovered is what a lot of us eventually realize, that we often end up just kind of being buffeted about by everybody else's priorities, by answering messages, phone calls, other people's requests, and we all want to be responsible and reactive to other people. That's great, but we need to start with some sense of, well, what am I really trying to get done today and what's important? And again, the spiritual traditions of the Jesuits give us a really nice tool for being more effective every day that anybody could begin using in less than 10 minutes total. Ignatius suggests that every day we ought to take a couple of little mental pit stops. So let's imagine after lunch, and then on the ride home, commute home, I have 5 minutes, I have a few minutes, and I go through 3 simple steps. First step is remind yourself why you're grateful as a person. What are you grateful about? And then second, remind yourself of some objective you want to achieve, or maybe some personal issue you need to be working on. And then third, mentally go back through the last few hours and try to take away some little lesson that will help you in the next few hours. Very, very simple practice, but very effective. Let me backtrack over those 3 steps and maybe comment on each one. So first, this idea of gratitude. We live in an era where we tend to be very results driven, very problem focused. What do I need to fix? What's going wrong? What do I need to do? And that type A instinct is great. I mean, that's how we get results. But it also can have very stressful byproducts. You know, we spend our whole life kind of problem focused and stressed and worried, and that in the long run does not make us very productive. And you're probably aware of this school of so-called positive psychology that tries to do research into you know, what makes people happy and productive and so on. And one of their interesting findings is that people who are grateful tend to be happier. And we know for a fact that people who are happier are more productive. We've long known that. You know, they do these interesting research studies where, for example, they divide a class into two groups and they ask half the people in the class to keep a journal for a month of things that they're grateful about. Every night, just write a couple things down, and the control group does nothing. They just live the way they always live. And the folks who practiced being grateful ended up reporting themselves happier, oddly or perhaps not oddly at all. So, you know, as spiritual persons, we might feel we're supposed to be grateful as humans because of our religious beliefs. But the research is also kind of telling us that there's very interesting human payoffs to doing that. So gratitude, the second step was this idea of reminding yourself of some important issue or objective. In other words, a way to get past the Larry Kellner problem of having your to-do list just be an accumulation of what everyone else wants you to do or whatever crosses your desk. And then the third piece of this little daily pit stop exercise was this idea of mentally going back through the last few hours and taking away some lesson for the next few hours. I'm sure most of us are familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous, and you know the idea of Alcoholics Anonymous is that somebody would never drink for the rest of their life, right? Sort of a tremendously ambitious long-term goal. But you also know that the mantra of Alcoholics Anonymous is one day at a time. So in other words, this same kind of wisdom is in this little mental pit stop process I just described as Alcoholics Anonymous is understood, namely that the only way we're really capable of attacking very ambitious goals is somehow by breaking them into bite-sized chunks. So I appreciate you taking the time to participate in this survey session and this discussion group that we've done. And I appreciate folks making comments and sharing them, and I hope you got something out of the book. Thank you very much.